Hello, I'm MBX and this is Seed Sunday, a weekly series I run on my channel where I show you Seed's Minecraft console edition, which I think you want to check out for some reason or another. And today's video asks and answers the question of what happens when you take an already pretty amplified world for Minecraft console and you hit the amplified switch to amplify it, to its maximum level. And the answer to that question is very confusing, and I think it might just be a surprise to you. But first of all, I hope you do all enjoy this video. Like it if you do, because it helps out the channel out, and let us know you do like the Seed Sunday, and indeed these weird questions like I'll be answering today, because this is just last week's Seed. If you do recall, last week's Seed was really bizarre because it had so many mountains, like, a lot of extreme hills. It looked like it was an amplified Seed without even being amplified, and a lot of people took this as a way to play amplified on last gen, but some people, including one comment in particular, which inspired this one, just asked the question of, like, what happens if you take the amplified world and you amplify it one more time? So that's what I've done with today's video, and like I said, the results are kind of interesting, but let's just get straight into it, show you the Seed. It's on screen right now, just in case you missed last week's Seed, so again, it's a repeat of the same thing, but if you hit the amplified switch, only available on Xbox One and PS4, then you'll get some pretty bizarre results, because again, the spawn area on that Seed was really rocky. Like, it was a really big uphill thing to this first village, and then the village was this mountainous, spruce village thing that just went over loads of different mountains, and as you can see right here, although there's some of that in this one particular hole right here where two villager houses are, if you look at the rest of the village, like, ignore these three houses, I guess, this little thing over here, you can see how the entire village is pretty much entirely flat. Like, this is a normal village, in fact, a flatter than average village, I say, which is pretty nuts when you really think about it. We took an we took a really amplified, rocky, hilly world, and we managed to take one of the things and turn it into this, which is, again, it's just a cool kind of, note from the first thing. If you wanted a spruce village, and that's all you wanted from last week's Seed, then this is the same spruce village, but with slightly less stuff. And also, as a result of it being slightly higher up, despite being more flat, an interesting fact you'll find is there's certain different glitches that only apply this time versus last time. So there's no, even though the trees are still there from last time, there's stuff like, oh yeah, well now there's going to be snow on top of the houses in places that snow shouldn't be able to naturally generate. You can't place snow, let me show you actually, you can't place snow on top of stairs, just like this. However, just over here, you can see that it has spawned there naturally. So yeah, you get yourself one of the rare phenomenons of having snow on top of a half stair, which is pretty cool and pretty bizarre stuff actually. But yeah, with that said, let's show you around the rest of the village, because it's all pretty much the same. Some of the planters are different. This church, which was previously on the side of a mountain, is now built into the mountain, which is kind of a beautiful little change. And just in general, you can, just about work out, everything here is exactly the same as it was, but less rocky and smooth. And you might be curious as to, like, why does Amplified smoothen out your world? And it's because there is a max height that Amplified can generate on for Minecraft console, and it's pretty much Y128. So you can see it actually hits that limit right about here, or goes just below it right here. And as you can see, that means that, oh, well, if it wants to generate more terrain, it can't really do that because it can't go any higher, which means you get weird oddities like this. And if we look at the rest of the Seed, the same story will actually hold true. So if we head to the left of the spawn, again, this mountain that was right next to spawn, it was a massive mountain, like 30-40 blocks up. As you can see, what is this right now? Like 10 blocks to climb, 8 blocks, and it's a really smooth ascent too, because again, if you have a mountain next to a mountain and they're literally connected, there's not much you can do to really, make them both seem like mountains. It just more seems like a really flat Seed. And that's the crazy thing about this world. It functions as, because there are so many mountains, despite the fact that there's big gaps between them sometimes, like over here, because most of the mountains are the same side besides that. Okay, this is actually an example where it's not, but if you look at, like, over here, it's just right down and then right back up again. Because of that, it means the Seed is actually a really good, perfect one if you want to build on a flat surface, because if you want your entire world to be roughly the same height, then Y124, Y125, etc. is pretty close for, like, a solid 40-50% of this world, because, like I said, if all you have to do is bridge over this gap, and suddenly you've got yourself, like, a giant plains that kind of just hovers in a really nice place. And as a fun little side note, having a Seed that's this high up and being flat is better than having one that's low down and flat, because less mobs spawn the higher up you are in a chunk, which means if you want to be safer from mobs and you don't want to light it up for whatever reason, then here is a cool way to do that. So yeah, just a cool little side note right here. The Seed, which was previously just filled with these crazy mountain peaks that were like 2 blocks wide, is now filled with, extreme hills, which are all pretty much the same height, and that's kind of cool. But there's also a few other examples where, things don't necessarily get the same opposite effect, but they do get pretty weird. So let me show you one of my favorite examples, which is the plains biome from last week. So last week's Seed was great for a whole bunch of reasons, the amplified, the etc, but it also had a couple of plains biomes that I really did quite like for being pretty flat. Here's one of them, I believe, in the rough center of the map. As you can see, this plains biome is pretty much flat, again, because the mic height thing, but some of it's all the way down there, so I don't know if this is a flat plains biome or if this is the opposite, but it's still pretty interesting. In fact, actually, the cool thing about this is it's a 2-tiered plains biome. There's plains biome up there, and there's there's plains biome down here too. Isn't that pretty cool? But as well as having stuff like that, which by the way is connected by this really bizarre bridge like between the mountains, we also have the other plains biome, which was one I said, yep, this is perfect for building. And the amazing thing about this plains biome is most of it has stayed relatively flat. Like, again, this is close to the ground level and, you know, it just goes up a little bit. But then there's just this random chunk of dirt that's like, nope, we wanted a nice spherical plains biome, but this one is just, what is that, like 30 blocks in the sky, for no particularly great reasons. The other thing I like about this seed is the swamp biome. I say this about all amplified seeds, but swamp biomes always get this really cool makeover from being these random, like, why even go there seeds to, oh, now it just looks crazy, not realistic, but, it's cool because of its flatness, because swamp is one of the few biomes they do not amplify with amplified worlds. So, yeah, just a tiny little thing you might not have known. But yeah, looking around the rest of the seed, just to show you a few more points of interest, because, again, this is so crazy to me. This forest has stayed at its rough height, which means the ravine is exactly the same from last week, but then certain other changes, such as the fact that near spawn, there were some caves. They might show up in a video that you're seeing recently. What's up? From the side here, but that might show up in a video at some point soon. Stuff like the caves near spawn have changed from being, slight surface caves that go a bit below to stuff like this. This used to be a cave which went like, what is it, maybe like 4 blocks below the surface, and now it goes from being 4 blocks below the surface to something like 50 blocks, which is absolutely nuts the way Amplified can change stuff like that, because really, I think the kind of conclusion you get from all of this, because there's 2 more things actually, before I kind of conclude the whole thing, because basically there's one kind of mind-blowing hole right here, so literally 10 blocks away from spawn, if you jump at the wrong point, you can jump all the way from here down into this little cave over here, and this cave's kind of lethal because it's kind of dark, but still, there's just this random little dark cave down here. Would be perfect for a house, by the way. But as well as this, there is the mesa biome, which it's the same point I raised earlier where, oh yeah, well, everything, it was flat before, and now it's just all raised up, which means it's all flat again, and it looks pretty much the same, just at the new ideal height of, what is that, Y121, Y122. So, yeah, like I was saying, but because it's so much higher, and because gold generates at all the heights, you actually find a lot more gold in it this time. So if we go through any one of these caves, actually digs into the mountain, so let's go down here, for instance, you'll see that instead of leading where it went before, it leads straight into several patches of gold, which is pretty cool if you ask me. Anyway, with that said, let me just move out of here and talk about the kind of conclusion of this, because I found this to be a really cool experiment. Hopefully you've all enjoyed the results of it, because it's pretty bizarre stuff, right? And I think the easy conclusion is that, yeah, Minecraft console can only generate amplified worlds up to Y128. If I had to guess, that can't be a technical limitation, because it's only Xbox One, PS4. If I had to guess, maybe it's something to do with the way their world generator makes stuff. So I think this is an example of where it goes really wrong. But in another way of thinking, although this is wrong compared to what you might want this to be the craziest amplified world ever. But on the other side of things, seeds like this also double up as a way to have really flat worlds, but a different type of flat world. A world which is flat at Y123, in case you want to have stuff into the clouds. Because, if you don't know, I usually have clouds turned on. I've got to turn them off right now. But that means that the clouds are going to be really, really close to you. And if that's an effect you want on a world that otherwise looks entirely flat, because bear in mind, you could make this world look like it's a normal world, and people wouldn't notice till they see the Y coordinate. If that's something you want from a seed, this seed provides pretty cool, and pretty well, and that's why I think this is a great seed to check out if you want a just entirely different experience and you're on the Xbox One or PS4. But yeah, I'd love to hear what you think of it with the comments down below. I'm also going to read about 100 comments saying first, second, but that's fine too. I'll obviously keep my eyes out for the real ones. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and also let me know if you have any seeds you'd like me to check out for Seed Sunday. The comment sections down below works that too. Otherwise, like the video if you did like it, share if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here. I make videos and seeds like this one every single day on my channel, and if you subscribe, you'll see them daily on your homepage. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.